So within the book The Girl, the two major issues that I found that were important toward educating myself in the sense of managerial thinking was the after Alex is having a hard time trying to get his plan on track and that he's losing money and losing profit. He refers to his old physics teacher, Jonah, and he comes to the realization that a goal of a company is to just make money. And activities that aid this goal are productive, but all that are not aiding this goal are unproductive. So therefore, as they go back and forth, Alex repeatedly asks Jonah for help, and Jonah reveals three key terms of throughput, inventory, and operational expense. Alex further denotes all three as throughput is basically profit coming in, so anything that you're making. So throughput is profit, and inventory is anything you've invested on making your company or system work better, and the operational expense is the money that it takes to make the throughput happen. So basically, throughput is the money coming in, inventory is the money currently invested within the system, and operational expense is the money that you have to pay to make the throughput happen. Another one that I thought that was pretty interesting was that Jonah states that a balanced plan, and the closer you come to it is the closer you are to bankruptcy. And within this, Jonah is able to vividly see this when he goes with his son on a Boy Scout trip, I think it was. And they start playing dice, and that the term statistical fluctuations and dependent events come into his mind after Herbie, which is the bottleneck of the group of boys because he was the slowest, was asked to lead the line and distribute some of like the excess weight he had on his back. And Alex saw this and noted that the line increased, like they were able to reach the top of the hike much quicker and everyone got there at the same time. So the line balanced out and the hikers reached the top at the same time. So that means that you need to optimize the entire system in order to just have a plant that is running at its optimal speed. Because a balanced plant, the closer you come to it and the closer you are is actually bankruptcy. Because if you just focused on one particular area of your plant and trying to improve it, then what about every other area? So therefore, Alex, when he gave Herbie the bottleneck of the in front of the line and he distributes some of the excess weight that he was carrying, he optimized the entire system without really realizing what he actually did. Something else that I noticed is that when Jonah visits the plant, he also states that a system can only increase production by increasing capacity at the bottleneck operations. So the only way for a system to increase production is to increase the capacity of a bottleneck. So the bottleneck is basically the slowest thing within your system. And therefore, if you increase its capacity and increase its ability to produce products, the entire plant naturally will become optimized. So a way that this aided my managerial thinking was that not to focus on just my plant as a whole, but I need to realize and conclude what my bottleneck is in a plant. So therefore, say I was working at Target and I was working in the production line, and there was this particular system or machine that was taking a long time to produce systems, and it was my bottleneck because it's the slowest of my. So that means I would have to optimize my system. I would have to understand which part of my system I can improve. Okay, I forgot to mention, in chapter 10, that's where I found the key terms of throughput, inventory, and operational expense. In chapter 11, that's when I learned about a balanced plan. The closer you come to it is the closer you are to bankruptcy. In chapter 14, And chapter 14 and 15, that's when I learn about Herbie and the bottleneck of the group of boys. And then the second part of my, I guess, objective that you told us to is the application, and how could I apply the theory of constraints into my job or into my current life. So a bottleneck is a resource whose capacity is equal to or less than the demand placed upon it. So that means, and a non-bottleneck is any resource whose capacity is greater than the demand placed on it. So that means a bottleneck is a resource whose capacity is equal. So that means anything in my life that I place in equal capacity but is less than or equal to the demand I place on it. So therefore, in terms of my life, I run track at UTEP. So that means I place a tremendous amount of demand on my body and on everything that I need to get done. And a non-bottleneck is anything that I place high demand on, but the demand is greater than what I actually place on it. So an example for that might be school. Like I place a high demand on it, but because of the amount of time that I spend on running track and doing things like that, I don't have ample time to reciprocate the demand that I've already placed on it. And then the solution to the theory of constraints is you can balance capacity with demand and balance the flow of the product through the plant. So that means basically I need to balance my bottlenecks. So I need to understand that sometimes when I have a rest day and an off day, I should lower my demand on my body and higher my demand on particular like school, like reading, and I thought that was very important, and I thought that would legitimately aid me in becoming not a better system, but a better person. So therefore, the theory of the constraints is basically, sorry, the theory of constraints is basically to put a resource, a bottleneck resource and a non-bottleneck resource, is to find the balance between both of them. And then that was about everything I learned. And thank you for your time.